want for less than $50,000. If you are an entrepreneur without technical skills and you are wanting to launch an app, but you don't want to spend over $50,000 or potentially a lot more on getting your app out there, then this is the video for you. Now make sure you stick around until the end, because again, if this describes you, then you need to hear every single word of this, because we're going to cover a lot of important information to help you get your app out there for less than $50,000. So first, if you're new around here, my name is Kristen, and I'm the co-founder of Coaching NoCode Apps, where we help non-technical entrepreneurs build custom apps to either start their app-based businesses or grow their existing businesses, all without coding. So we're going to dive into this and cover a few important pieces of information. Now, the first thing is we need to look at how much you can actually expect to spend on development when you go through the traditional paths of building an app. Now, as a non-technical entrepreneur, chances are you are looking at outsourcing the development of your application to a traditional development agency. Now, what I have on the screen here is a website called appdevelopmentcost.com. And it's a simple calculator. And what I want to do is kind of go through the calculation of what an app might cost to outsource, again, to a traditional development agency. And we're going to go through this process and just include the most common features and needs that I see entrepreneurs wanting to include in their apps, so that you can kind of get a rough idea of what it might cost to outsource your app. Now, you might have already gone through this process, and that might be what brought you to this video, because you might have had sticker shock from what you were quoted. But I want to take you through it because I also want you to see what the common features are that we see entrepreneurs needing in their apps. And then when we start talking about how you can build these out for less than $50,000, you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, to be clear, this is not our calculator. This is just an estimation. And so just use this as a gauge. All right, this is certainly not set in stone. So we're going to start this process. So which platforms will you use for your app? Let's just start with a web app. That's what I would advise starting with. And that's usually what we help our own entrepreneurs build. Now, do you need an icon for your app? So like an icon to put on their phone screen. So I'm going to say no for right now. Okay. How do you wish to secure your app? So this is a little bit vague, a little bit general: basic security measures, data encryption, advanced protection. I don't need protection. Let's say advanced. This could mean a lot of different things, but assuming you do want some user permissions in your app, you do want some level of security in your app, let's include that in there. All right, which option would you like to store your application data? Let's say cloud database. Select all the login features that you need in your app. Okay, so login features, we have email user login, Facebook, other social network login. I'm going to say email, Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn and other. I see a lot of these. I don't normally advise most people start out with every single one of these, but I do see a lot of people wanting those different ones. So we'll just include them in there. So we're already up at, let's see, our minimum is 35,000, maximum right now is 43,000. So select all the media features you need in your app. Audio playback, video playback, audio recording. I do see some people adding features like this to their apps. And again, we'll get into the other ways you can do that. I'm just going to skip this actually, because it's not so common to where I see it in like every single app. So we're just going to skip it for now. Let's see, select all the utility features. Okay, geolocation, maps and location. Let's start with maps and location. I see that a lot. Messaging. Let's see here, search bar, definitely. User profiles, definitely. QR codes. I see it pretty frequently, but I'm going to leave them out for now because we're already up at a minimum above 50,000. So let's just see how much higher we're going to take this. So select all the UX features that you need in your app. Okay, push notifications, this is pretty common. Portrait, landscape view. So a responsive app, meaning you can use it on different screen sizes. Activity feed, I'm going to add that one in. It's pretty common in different shapes and forms. Text messaging, I'm going to say no to syncing. Shopping cart, yes, we need a payment system. Rating system is pretty common, but I'm going to leave it out for now. Reservation and booking. Calendar scheduling is pretty common too. Okay, so we're up at 104,000. We have a little bit left to go. So select all the general features that you need in your app. Ads, in-app purchases, forms. I'm going to say forms. That's pretty common. The amount of third-party services. I will not use third-party services. Let's see. I'm going to say 3. So, if we're using APIs to connect to other platforms, I'm just going to put a few of them in there. All the features you need as the admin of the app. So you need user administration, app analytics, probably. CMS, I'm going to leave out. Crash reporting, I'm going to leave out for, actually, no, putting crash reporting. Okay, stick with me here. Let's go through a few more. I don't think we're actually going to finish this. I haven't gone through the whole thing, but we're already up pretty high. So I think we have a good idea of what we're at here. So any additional feature, 2-factor authentication, multi-language support is pretty common. Do you need a tablet version? Let's say yes, because we generally want to build a responsive app. In most cases, most people are wanting to. What level of design? Custom. For your first version, it certainly doesn't need to be and shouldn't be professional. Okay, we're going to stop there because we're at a minimum of 200,000, a maximum of 241,000. And these are the basic, common features that I see across lots of different apps. And a lot of these are in the first version of the app. You could see we didn't add a ton of features, like individual features into this, but just general app capabilities, even coming down, to the user admin being able to see crash reports and things like that, and having a responsive app so you can use it on your phone or your tablet or your desktop. We're already at a very high budget. Now, this is the problem, right? You know this, but hopefully seeing these common features can kind of drive this home as well, because chances are a lot of the features that I just selected, you probably want in your app. And as you see that number tick up higher and higher and higher, $50,000 starts to seem like a little bit of a steal, doesn't it? And chances are you're not, if you are outsourcing to a traditional development agency, and you want those general, pretty common features and capabilities, you're going to have a hard time finding a price tag under $50,000. Now, we're in the no-code space, right? No-code is not just the solution to be able to spend less. That's not the point. That's definitely an advantage, but that's not the point. Okay, no-code lets you as an entrepreneur have a lot more control over your app. No-code also helps traditional developers move a lot more quickly. We work with traditional developers who go through our courses and our programs just so that they can start leveraging no-code correctly. So it's not just a cheaper solution. I want to make that clear because cheap is often associated with poor quality. And you can build some high quality apps with no-code tools. Now, we're not going to go into every single thing you can build with no code because that would be very difficult. But my point in going through this initial calculator is to give you an idea of what we see people including in their no code apps. And you can see here, I selected lots of different things. You have a ton of flexibility, a ton of control, power, options, all of that. Now, I do want to say we just published a new video titled, "What Can You Build with No Code?" So if you're new to the no code space, head there next. You need to watch that so you can understand exactly what you can do with no code. What kinds of apps can you build with? What kinds of capabilities do you have? What limitations are there? So if you're just diving into the space, or just stepping into the space rather, definitely head to that video next. That's one for you to check out. But what I want to talk about now is actually building your app for less than $50,000. Now, to be clear, $50,000 is not, I chose the number because I've heard people say that. That's their goal. Okay, so you could say any number, any large dollar amount, and it still applies, but just to give us a range to look at. So right here, I have a PDF, and I'll show you how to access this as well, because this will be important for you. But when you're using no-code tools, now options start to open up for you because you are no longer essentially handcuffed to developers. When you are a non-technical entrepreneur and you're outsourcing your application to a team and you don't know how anything is working, then you're kind of at their their mercy, essentially. And there are plenty of excellent development agencies, but hopefully you see what I'm saying. You're giving them their idea and you're paying them, and you're really hoping that what comes back is what you have in your brain, which can be tough, right? And so when you step into the no-code space, lots of options open up. Number one, you can still outsource your app. So if you are really just looking for a lower cost alternative to outsourcing to a traditional development agency, you can still outsource to a no-code development agency, right? That's path number one of 3 different paths you can take when you're stepping into the no-code space and you're building your app with no-code tools. Now, remember, no-code is not just the cheap option, okay? But you will generally find lower pricing with no-code development agencies. Now, the prices range, just like any type of service or agency you might work with. The prices definitely range. But in general, when you are outsourcing for the initial development of your minimum viable product, the first version of your app, it's going to be a lot less than what we just saw on that calculator. Okay, so that's path number one you can take with no-code tools. If you really have no interest in building your app, but you just want an alternative to traditional development agencies. Now, path number two is when you kind of take the done with you path. So if handing off your app idea for someone else to build is done for you, in the sense that that person or that agency is doing it for you, well, you can do it with someone. Now, this relates somewhat to what we do with our own entrepreneurs and clients. It's done with you. So for you as the entrepreneur, if you want to leverage a lot of the other benefits of no-code tools, like the control, that's a really, really big one. A lot of entrepreneurs coming into this space, they want to be able to actually build their own visions, because it can be really tough to take your idea out of your brain and give it to someone else and get back exactly what was up in there. It's really tough to do, understandably so. So a lot of entrepreneurs want the control because nobody knows their ideas, their processes, their visions, their standards, even nobody knows that better than them. And so with no-code tools, entrepreneurs without technical backgrounds can come in and build their own apps. And now we can come below that $50,000 price tag and benefit from the control, right? Leverage that benefit as well. So with this, you don't have to do it completely on your own, which that can sound really intimidating. For a lot of people, it does. For you, it might. Just, even though you're using no-code tools, it can sound really intimidating to just build an app all by yourself. Because, okay, if you have a no-code app development platform, but what about all the other stuff? If you've never launched an app before, well, there's a lot that goes into it. So you don't have to go it alone, but you also don't have to hand your idea off to someone else. So you can take a done with you approach and kind of get the best of both worlds, right? So that's path number two that you could take. Now, path number three is that DIY path. If you are like a tinkerer at heart and you don't have maybe a specific time frame in which you want to launch, you don't mind it taking a lot longer. You like to go in and just experiment and break things and right, that type of thing. If that describes you, well, then you can take the DIY approach. Now, this is where you are using no-code tools and you really are just building yourself. Now, obviously, that requires a lot of figuring out, right? Just figuring stuff out. But again, if you don't mind that and you have the time and you're happy to, spend the next year on the side building your app, right? If that's you, then this is a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable option for building an app, right? You're going to have a very, very, very hard time getting up to that $50,000 price range, or a limit rather, if this is the path you're taking with no-code tools. And of course, one of the benefits that you're leveraging here is the speed. No-code tools still have a learning curve because you're still programming. You're still creating something that has functionality, right? So it's not like you're just pushing some buttons and then that's it, right? There's still stuff to learn, but spend some time learning no-code tools versus spending some time learning how to code, for example. You're going to get a heck of a lot farther with no-code tools. You might be able to spend some time learning how to code and feel like you learn a good amount of information, but actually put those newfound skills to practice, and you're not going to be able to build very much. Right? It takes a long time to really develop and hone those skills to let you build more complex applications, which is probably what you want. You can spend some time learning how to leverage no-code tools and still build really complex apps without, having to spend years learning how to do it. So if you want to take that DIY route, and that is more so fitting for you, and this doesn't technically have to mean, just opening the no-code app development platform and just figuring it all out completely alone. You can, use courses and tutorials. I mean, look at our YouTube channel. We also sell courses and memberships to help with this that are a lot lower cost, right? And so this is the third development path you can take with no-code tools. So fully outsourcing, done for you. Partial outsourcing, or rather consulting, done with you. Having the control, but also having the speed and the expertise. And, if you're wanting to launch a lot quicker and launch a scalable product right off the bat and really move into scaling your business versus kind of tinkering, then that would be an ideal path. If you just want to, kind of get your hands dirty a little bit, figure things out, and just do this on the side, a DIY path is great. And these are, again, we're talking averages here because you have to look at the type of app too, and all the features that we went through and the capabilities on that calculator, that might be just a small little snippet of what you're wanting. So keep that in mind, but these are all excellent options if you don't want to experience the sticker shock or just be kind of held back from launching your app at all because it's so expensive when you outsource to a traditional development agency. So what we're going to look at now is, well, I want to take you to a link to this, and we'll come back to it. But if you want to read through, let me actually switch back. If you want to read through this, there's a ton of information in here, and it compares the average pricing of a lot of, let's see here. Let me go back. So, for done for you outsourcing with no code, right? We have some average pricing scales here. So you can see a general amount of what you could expect. Now, caveat, every app is a little bit different. So remember that we're generalizing here, but if you want to check this out, then you can head to coachingnocodeapps.com/white-paper and just grab a copy of that. Now, the other thing that I want to talk to you about is Bubble. Now, we like to use Bubble with our own clients, with our own students, and this is a no-code app development platform. If you're new to this space, you might not have heard of it before. If you've been doing a little bit of research on no code, then you probably have. This is one of the platforms that gives you the most capability. So if you want full control over customization, over the way everything works, everything looks, if you want kind of like a blank canvas and a no code tool to help you fill that canvas, then this is a really good option for you. And this is an example of, if you don't want to outsource to traditional development agencies, you want to go the no code path, a platform like this is something that you could use, and then you could take each of those or one of those three paths that we just went through, right? The done for you, done with you, the DIY, do it yourself. So there are lots of no code platforms out there. And we do have other videos talking about different platforms. And that video that I mentioned that you need to look into, what can you actually build with no code, that goes through different platforms as well. So again, you'll want to watch that. But this hopefully is a good collection of information to get you started if you want to spend less than $50,000 getting your app out there. You can do it. That's kind of what I want to drive home here, is that you can accomplish that. you can. You don't have to have a technical background. You don't have to have a technical co-founder, and you don't have to outsource your app to a traditional development agency in order to launch an app-based business or build an app that will help you scale your existing business. You don't have to. So you do have the option to really leverage everything related to no code, generally the lower price, but also the speed, the control, the long-term flexibility, speed of iterations, the ability to scale faster. Because even think about, when you are using no code, the initial investment that you're going to make is going to be lower, which means that as you scale your app in your business, you are ideally going to be a lot more profitable, because that initial investment is a lot lower, and you do have the control over iterations and speed. Things aren't going to be so slow. You can make changes yourself. You can make updates yourself. You just have so much control. And so your ability to really grow a more profitable business, that increases significantly, which is really, really important. Now, if you want some help with your app, or you want to, you want to step into the no-code space, you want to get your app out there, but you do want some help because this is all pretty new, and you want to ideally launch quickly and correctly in a very scalable way, then you can head to coachingnocodeapps.com/apply and schedule a strategy call to talk with our team. It's a free call, and we can kind of talk through a roadmap for you so that you can get your app out there and talk about the best ways for you to be able to do that. So we covered a lot here. To kind of wrap this up, head to the video about no-code tools, and I'll share a link with that to that with you. Head to the white paper to look through the general development costs of those 3 different paths that we talked about, coachingnocodeapps.com/white-paper. And if you want to talk about getting some help with your no-code app, coachingnocodeapps.com/apply. All right, I hope this is helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.